Hi, and welcome to hometownnews.tv, the local news for Parker. Tonight you're joining us at the Mayoral debate, and we are introducing to you the town council candidates for the 2012 election year. Please state your name, why you're running, and any other information you'd like to provide.
My name is Bob Roberts. I'm running for Parker Town Council. Thank you all for tuning in. I am running to make Parker a more efficient steward of our tax dollars. I intend to reorient the town council around principles of fiscal conservatism, transparency, efficiency, and putting Parker first. If we're going to spend money in Parker, the town council that is, we should reinvest and hire local contractors to do those projects. That's not been done in the past. I intend to make it happen this time around. If you want to learn more information about my campaign, the website is www.bobrobertsforparker.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob, and good luck in the campaign. Next, we have our next town council candidate. Please come forth, state your name, why you're running, and how we can get a hold of you in the future.
Hi, my name is John Dyack. I'm a candidate for town council. I'm a 29-year Parker resident. I work here. I live here. My platform is economic development. We need to ensure that we can have businesses be successful here. Transportation, we need to make sure our roads are well maintained and have RTD service to our citizens. We also need to ensure that recreation and the arts are taken care of, as well as the emerging aging population. For more information, johnforparker.com. Again, John Dyack, candidate for town council. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John, and good luck with your candidacy. Next, we have our third candidate coming up. Please state your name, why you're running, and how we can get a hold of you in the future.
My name is Bill Wright, and I am running for Parker Town Council because I am just recently retired. Been living in Parker for 13 years. I just love the town, and 13 years from now I would like the residents of Parker to be able to say the same thing. I can be reached at wrightforparker at AOL.com. That's my website. It's Wright and the number 4 and then Parker at AOL.com. And you can't go wrong if you vote for Wright.
Thank you, Bill. Good luck with your candidacy. Next, we have our fourth candidate coming up for town council. Please state your name, while you're running, and how we can get a hold of you in the future.
Hi, my name is Joshua Rivero. I'm running for town council. You can reach me at joshuaforparker.com. I own a small coffee shop down on Main Street, and through the years of owning the coffee shop, I have gotten to know the citizens very well, and I've heard what they like and what they don't like about town, and I have an opportunity now to represent them on council. I also have in the past represented businesses through the Downtown Development Council. I was president of the DDC for 2 years, so I know what the businesses are looking for from council, and in those 2 years and the year prior, I worked with council every day. I've been to meetings, more than my share of council meetings already, and I look forward to representing you for Parker Town Council. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Joshua, how can we get a hold of you?
You can reach me at the coffee shop or joshuaforparker.com, and that's it.
Thank you. All right, now we're up to our fifth candidate. Nope, sorry, photo op, folks. And now we're up for our fifth candidate. If you please step forward, state your name, while you're running, and how we can get a hold of you in the future.
Hi, I'm Debbie Lewis, and I'm running for Parker Town Council. You can reach me at www.debbie4Parker at any time. I've been a Parker resident for more than 30 years. I'm a small business owner. I have served our community twice before on town council from '96 to 2000, and then again in 2004 to 2008. I have experience that you can trust. I have a 5-star plan for our community. I live, work, and play here. I love this town. Vote for me, November 6th, Debbie Lewis, Parker Town Council.
Thank you, Debbie, and good luck. Next, we have our sixth member. Please state your name, while you're running, and how we can get a hold of you in the future.
My name is Mark Lane, and I am running for town council because I want to improve communication between the council, the water board, police department, Douglas County commissioners, and I am pro-business, and I want to grow small business, but there's more to Parker than just the downtown area. There's a lot of Parker with a lot of businesses, and I want to make sure those folks are included as well. You can reach me at my website at www.markforparker.com. And thank you.
Thank you, Mark, and good luck in the race. And we're just waiting here, I believe, for our next candidate. Please state your name, your platform, and how we can get a hold of you in the future.
Okay. Good evening. My name's Ron Fraker Jr. I'm running for Parker Town Council. Thank you for joining us. I've been proudly endorsed by the Douglas County Republicans. I am pro-business, but do not believe we should use town resources to attract business to the town. I'd like to make sure we can keep taxes as low as possible. And you can find out more information or ask me questions at www.ronfrakerjr.com. Thank you again for joining us. I hope I can earn your support and your vote in November. My name is Ron Fraker Jr. and I'm running for Parker Town Council.
Thank you, Ron, and good luck in the race. And final and eighth candidate, please state your name while you're running and how we can get a hold of you.
I'm Robert Crone. I'm running for the Parker Town Council. The reason why I'm running today is because I like the feel of the town, and because I believe I have the quality and the quality of a representative that will help the taxpayers of the town of Parker. I also believe that through my finance experience as a finance manager for the last 19 years, I've had the opportunity to work in the private sector, which gives me the intimate knowledge to help the economy grow and understand what it takes for the town of Parker to grow. I also think that it's a great opportunity as working with the Boy Scouts of America and within my church and in those key leadership roles. I will utilize those skills to help work with committees in the town of Parker to help create businesses and jobs within the town of Parker to create revenue and to keep that small town feel that we all like. The way you can get a hold of me is by logging onto my website, www.robertcrone4parker.com.
Thank you, Robert, and best of luck.
Thank you.
All right, folks, so that was the town council candidates for the 2012 race for the Parker Town Council. Stay tuned. In 5 minutes, we will be updating you with the mayoral debate with mayoral candidates Lisa Coe, Adele Laurent, and Mike Wade. Thank you, and stay tuned.
May I have the candidates to the table, please?
That doesn't sound good. Sure.
So nobody gets hurt.
Do you want some water?
I would love some.
Sure. Lisa, do you want some water?
No, I'm fine, thank you. And I have more if we run out, okay? The reasons we had to wait for the candidate to be at the table is that all the questions that they are going to ask tonight are on the back.
Sneaky.
I don't know.
Shucks. That is a way to help you guys follow along with the questions in case they wander and get off topic. You'll know what they're supposed to be asking.
Politicians never wander.
Oh, yeah, right. So, I want to welcome everybody to the Parker Library. Douglas County Libraries is thrilled to be offering this debate. So we welcome you all. This is our first time. Any feedback you want to give us for the election in 2 years, let us know. I've been asked to do a couple announcements. There is a program Saturday, October 20th, called the Colorado Ballot Issues. That will be talking about the Colorado state ballot issues, the pros and the cons, and then for you to decide. And it's just conversation, and they'll be talking about that. Right here? No, yes. That one is. The other thing is there is one more opportunity to hear the mayor candidates to debate. It is being put on by Parker Chamber of Commerce. It is at the Pace Center. It starts at 5:30. Anything anybody wants to add about that? What's the date? October 23rd. So it's it's next Tuesday.
And it's not just the mayor. It's
Yes.
also, it's everyone.
It's all
candidates.
Yeah. Are all of you on the table together?
Yes,
okay.
I believe so.
Okay. Should be very interesting. So that will be another opportunity to listen to the candidates.
Supper.
Okay. Please turn off all your cell phones and devices that make noise. We did an interesting thing when we gathered the questions for this debate. We asked the community to give us questions. These were on our library wall. And people would just come by and ask these questions. From these questions, we created our 6 kind of thing. So it was really fun. There's some really strange ones. One person wants us to change the stoplight because he always hits it red. Because what?
Can I answer that?
He always hits it red. Can you answer that? Yes. Okay.
No, I said usually hit it red. Oh.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Not driving fast enough.
For those not familiar with the library, our bathrooms are right out this hall and to the left. And there's just 2 right there. And then there's some across on the other side of the library. We do have a little bit of water if it starts to get a little too hot for you. And that is where we are. The other thing we do want to mention, if you had taken some time to read these questions, you will see about 8 of them that deal with why don't we get a new library. There are 2 reasons this is not one of the questions. And the first question is we are the host. So we did not feel that was politically correct to be asking about the library when they are actually here with us in the library. The second reason it's not a question on our debate is the library is actually its own special district and is not part of the government of Parker. So those are the 2 reasons we do not. Our candidates tonight are Lisa Coe. Lisa and her family have lived in Parker for the past 9 years. Lisa was elected to the Parker Town Council in 2008, and as a member she has served as a liaison for the Parker Task Force, Parker Senior Center, Parker Water Board, Parker Cultural Commission, and the Parker Historical Commission. Lisa regularly volunteers in the community and participates in the local community events. Welcome.
Thank you.
You got it?
Oh, sure. Oh, just go for it. Wing it.
Mike Wade, he and his wife have owned a local small business, Search Parker Magazine, for 10 years and has been very involved in the local Parker business community. He has served his community in many roles, including being a charter member of the Cherry Creek Valley Rotary Club of Parker, Vice President of the Debbie Jackson Memorial Scholarship Foundation, Chairman and co-founder of the Space EGG Exploration Foundation, board member of the Apex Contemporary Dance Foundation. Are you doing a dance for us?
I didn't wear my leotards tonight.
Board member of the Parker Chamber of Commerce and supporter of many local nonprofit groups. Elected in 2008 to serve as a member of the Parker Town Council. Mike has served on many Town of Parker committees, including the Denver Regional Council of Governments, Parker Economic Development Council, Parker Chamber of Commerce, liaison to the Pace Center, Council Communications, liaisons to the Police Department, Partnership of Douglas County Governments, Parker Water and Sanitation, Sister Cities, Economic Development, Greater Parker Foundation, and has served as acting mayor and mayor pro tem. I will tell you, I asked the candidates to give me 5 sentences. These are the longest sentences.
But there's 5 of them. I didn't go.
So welcome, Wade. Thank you for coming. And 3. Mike, I apologize. Adele has lived in Parker for almost 13 years. She was a world champion high diver and a world record holder. Adele has been recognized by the town for her years of service to the town, has been involved in youth sports, theater, and culture since moving to Parker, and is proud to have brought Harmony Park to the
Pace.
No?
Oh, the outdoor music park.
Outdoor music park, that cool stuff, to the Pace Center. Sorry. Adele's experience as a liaison for the USA on national TV?
Yeah, that didn't, it was half a sentence.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
welcome, Adele.
hopefully there's no English teachers here. Great.
So welcome, candidates, right there.
We'll talk later, okay?
I am very excited to have this opportunity to work with the teen court. They are our moderators tonight. And I just learned about them as I was looking for moderators. I love this idea of getting the teen community involved as well. For those of you that are not familiar with the teen court, it started in 2005 here in Parker. There's 12 of them in the state of Colorado, and the attorneys actually try real juvenile cases. I posted something up there because it's really cool, and they are part of the town of Parker. Okay, our moderators tonight are Jordan Carson, senior member and attorney, and Garrett Stanfield, senior member and attorney. This moment, moderators, you have the floor. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. If you didn't hear, my name is Jordan Carson.
And I'm Garrett Stanfield.
And a procedure for tonight's forum will be as follows. The questions for tonight's forum have been selected from community submissions, and these questions will focus on the local issues for the town of Parker. There are a total of 6 questions for tonight's forum. Each candidate will be allowed to respond to all of the questions, and the order of answers has already been predetermined. The candidate who answers first will be rotated per question. Each candidate's response will be limited to a 2-minute time limit for their primary response and 1 minute for their rebuttal. At the end of this time, a primary bell will sound. The speaking candidate will then be permitted to finish their sentence. This forum is scheduled to last for 1 hour and 15 minutes. After all 6 scheduled questions have been answered, and if time permits, the floor will be open for questions to audience members. Thank you. Good evening, candidates. Our first question comes from the top most selected list. The first person to answer will be Mrs. Coe. And the question follows: what do you consider to be your top priority for improving the town of Parker as a change or an enhancement?
I think the first thing that we need to do is take a look at the areas of town that have been neglected
or have been overlooked in the past, and one of those areas is Cottonwood. And I think that we need to encourage redevelopment and investment in this area to make it a better place.
Minister.
I am.
Mr. Wade, your response?
Excellent. Development in the town of Parker is a top priority. My philosophy on running the town of Parker government is that the town should be really run like a business, not like a government. The reality is the quality of life that we all enjoy, 2/3 of that is paid for by retail sales tax. So we need to make sure that as a top priority, the town of Parker government is looking at effective and efficient ways to spend your money and encourage development and growth. There are several areas in Parker that can benefit from some of the programs that, in fact, last night we just passed at Town Council. I'm very happy to say that I was one of the yes votes on creating 2 new urban renewal districts, one of them which is in Cottonwood and another one along Parker Road. These are tools that allow the Town Council to be able to incentivize development and redevelopment in areas to make sure that our gateways into town are still vibrant and effective and pleasing to the eye.
Mrs. Laurent, in response?
Well, I was there as well last night, and I was really happy to see that the town council did vote in the redevelopment of Cottonwood area, the Cottonwood district, and as well the Parker Road. Those are 2 areas that are totally need some revitalization, and I live down in Cottonwood, and I am really happy to see that that area has been put on that list to revitalize.
Mrs. Collier, rebuttal.
I was not at the meeting last night. I was detained in Detroit on an airline. So, but unlike Mike Wade, I am not for running the town as a $50 million business. I think a town should be run as a town, and business should be run like a business. And therefore, spending our money wisely is, I think, very important, and not funding businesses' rent or any portion of is important to me. I don't think we should use taxpayer money in any way, even if it's through the PAR district, to do that. It creates an unfair advantage with other businesses that are existing, and it uses taxpayer money in a different way. So I'm for business development and creation, but I think we need to be careful the way we do that.
Mr. Wade, your response?
Absolutely. What my philosophy on the town being run as a $50 million company is that the town council is the board of directors, the mayor's the chairman of the board, and the citizens are the shareholders. The dividend that's paid to those citizens is quality of life. So reinvesting money into the economic development and growth of our community allows us to make sure that that quality of life dividend is there for now and for the future. So I am absolutely pro-business development, pro-growth, and pro-economic development.
Mrs. Laurent, rebuttal.
I agree with Mike. I do believe that the town should be run as a business. Businesses are in business to make money. Town's not in business to make money, but it's great if we can at least sustain ourselves. If we can make some money and create new programs for our communities, for our kids, for seniors, then that is why the town needs to be run exactly like a business, instead of like a town or a government where all you're doing is spending money and you're not reinvesting back into your community. And that's what we need to do.
Okay, thank you.
All right, our second most asked question. As there are a number of vacant commercial buildings throughout the town, what are your plans for attracting new businesses to Parker while maintaining the hometown feel that has attracted many of our residents?
Mr. Wade, this will be your first response.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Vacancy is always a challenge that any community of our size has to face. When I first moved to Parker about 12 years ago, I remember distinctly having a conversation with my wife when we went downtown saying, gosh, this place is really cool. It's got a great hometown feel. Well, flash forward to now, and a few months ago at Oktoberfest, I met a citizen, and she said to me, we just moved to Parker, and you know what? It's a cool place, and it's got a great small hometown feel. That shows that we're able to grow, because the town is much larger now than it was when I moved here 12 years ago. We're able to grow and still maintain that feel. So when vacancy rates happen, and in Parker right now we're running at about a 9% retail vacancy rate, it's important for the town government to have the business acumen to be able to make some adjustments, make some investments to attract those businesses to move in and take over the vacancy rates. Again, our urban renewal districts are one of the tools that we can use. The town has many tools now that we can use for positive economic development to help encourage businesses to move into Parker and also help encourage businesses to stay in Parker so that they can grow and thrive and support our local economy and jobs.
Mrs. Laurent, your primary response.
I mean, the hometown feel here in Parker is exactly what we need. It's what we want to keep for today and 20 years from now. We have to, as a town, we have to reinvest in businesses. I've seen businesses open and close, and without the support of the town, we're just going to keep seeing that. We need to fill those vacancies. The town needs to do whatever the town can do, and a lot of that is the bills that what they did last night with the reinvestment of Cottonwood, reinvestment on the Parker Road. Those are the type of things that are going to help bring businesses and keep those empty offices and buildings and retail spaces full.
Mrs. Coe, your primary response.
Vacancy rates are declining because businesses are coming in. I don't think that we have to subsidize businesses in order to get them to come here. I think that the primary goal of council or of the town should be making business easier to do in Parker. That means working with sign code and making it easier for people to make signs or put up signage that they need to get customers to come into their businesses. Turnaround time for plans. That's a huge thing in our town. It was taking 6 months, sometimes 9 months for plans to be reviewed. It doesn't take that long anymore. With the new system that we're implementing this new year, plan time will be much quicker, and that helps businesses when they go to open. It doesn't take them as long. I think that hometown feel is not just downtown. Hometown feel is the whole of Parker. So we're talking about parks and trails and recreation and all the other things that we do with our families. It's not just Main Street. So I think that making business easier for businesses to come in to do business in Parker and maintaining hometown feel throughout the area, not just on Main Street, is really important.
Mr. Wade, your rebuttal.
The primary way to fill vacancies in this town is the same methodology we use to attract citizens to this town, and that's the quality of life quotient. A business's quality of life means that it's easy to get into the market, it's easy to operate as a business, and it's easy to grow and become profitable and successful. So we've done a lot of work over the 4 years that I've been on council to change the mentality that Parker is a hard place to do business and make it easier for the businesses, small, medium, and large, from North Town to Midtown to South Town. I've had the pleasure of going on more business retention visits than any other council member and meeting a lot of the business owners from North, South, and downtown and find out what they're looking for and what they need from the town to be able to thrive and grow and expand. And we've put a lot of programs in place in the 4 years to make that happen, and I'm excited going forward to continue with even more programs to help those businesses succeed.
Mrs. Laurent, your rebuttal.
One of the biggest things that I've always noticed in Parker is the amount of vacancies that we have. I believe that those are the things that keep people from coming into those areas. When you see a lot of vacant businesses, we need to work with the businesses. As a town, we need to work with the businesses with signs. We need to help them as far as signage. That's one of the, when I've talked to businesses, that's one of the biggest issues is the signage, is that people don't even know that they exist. If we don't, as a town, if we don't assist them in the struggles that they have as businesses, then they're going to fail, and that cuts our tax revenue. And that's not a good thing. That is not what we want. So we need to support our local businesses. We need to try and do whatever we can to fill the vacancies that we have before we decide we're going to build any new ones. Thank you.
Mrs. Coe, your rebuttal.
Making business easier to do is really important. And it doesn't mean that taxpayers have to be stuck with the burden of paying for those businesses. I think that Mike mentioned that he's been on more business retention visits than anyone else. Well, he has. He has a lot of personal interest in this. He's a salesperson. He has to sell ads to businesses in Parker for his magazine. And I don't have that personal interest. I've been on business retention visits, numerous times. Positive conversations. But the same thing you hear all the time is, why does it have to be so difficult to do business in Parker? And that's something that we still need to work on. We need to work with our sign code. We need to work with our businesses. We can encourage them. We can do a lot of different things to bring them in, but that doesn't mean citizens have to pay the bill for them.
Okay, moving on to question number 3. Although Parker Water is managed by a special district, Issues on Water had the second highest number of questions asked by the community. How would you as mayor work to help partner, facilitate, and support Parker Water and Sanitation to address the high costs and poor quality of our water? Ms. Lauren, you have the primary response.
I live in Cottonwood and I drink my tap water. Maybe I'm going to start growing a third ear or something, but I don't think so. It doesn't, I think our water is just fine. It's not bottled water. No, it's not. But we're not a water bottling manufacturer, are we? I think individually, as individual residents of Parker, it's our responsibility to be conservative with our water. It's been like that as long as I can remember. We don't want to be wasteful when it comes to anything, let alone water. I would love to see approval of more xeriscape, but that doesn't help the water district because then we're cutting down on the amount of water that we're actually using. So it is definitely a big issue. It's not an issue that as mayor I have enough knowledge to address, but I know where to find people that will address those kind of issues, and that's what I would bring as mayor of Parker. What are you going to do?
Mrs. Coe, your primary response.
I've been working with Parker Water and Sanitation District, several people for 4 years, off and on. And lately, for the last 2 years, I've really been involved with Parker Water and Sanitation District Board of Directors, several of them. And first, I have to say, Cottonwood Water is not Parker Water. It's a whole different. It's a whole different water district. There are 4 different water districts in Parker, and I think the goal as mayor is to work with all of the different agencies to bring us together so we can communicate and talk about the needs of the community and figure out ways to bring water to Parker, because right now we're all drinking out of one straw, basically from a aquifer. The aquifer is drying up. It doesn't replenish itself, so we need to start looking at ways to get water to Parker, other than just building a reservoir to hold the water that we don't have, and also building a $50 million water treatment facility in order to treat water that we don't have. So I think as a goal of mayor would be more of reaching out and communicating and working with that board and working with that government, that local entity.
Thank you. Mr. Wade, your primary response.
It's an excellent question, and I can make you guys one guarantee. Something you never really hear from a politician because we don't typically make guarantees, but I'll guarantee you guys one thing: water will always be more and more of a scarce resource. We all have chosen to live in, by meteorological terms, what is the high desert, and we pull our water from an aquifer that is a non-renewing aquifer. So one of the primary roles of mayor is to represent the citizens of Parker and town council to the other governmental agencies like Parker Water and Sanitation District. So it's essential that we have good, open, and honest communication with them, and not an adversarial role, but make sure that we're representing the interests of the citizens. And on top of that, the reality is town of Parker is one of the largest customers of Parker Water and Sanitation District. So, council and mayor, town council's job, to be quite frank, is to spend your money conservatively and efficiently. So representing the town council and the citizens to the water district as one of their largest customers is important to make sure that we're spending your money wisely.
Mrs. Lauren, your rebuttal.
I'm just glad to see that both of my candidates to each side are so wise about the water situation in Parker. As a candidate for mayor, I also understand that mayor is a non-voting member of town council. Yes, we have the right to veto votes, but it's not my position to be 100% knowledgeable about every aspect of Parker, every aspect that is an issue. It's my job to go out and talk to the citizens and educate the citizens on the decisions that town council makes. It's my job as mayor to try and bring unity to town council, trying to bring wisdom and expertise when needed to town council. It's not my job to know everything about everything, and I don't want that job. That's your job.
Mrs. Coe, your rebuttal.
I don't have anything to say.
Mr. Wade, your final responses.
Let me take a drink of water first.
Is
it from Parker water?
Is it from Parker water? All right, it's from Parker water. Without rehashing what I exactly said, it is important to make sure that not only with Parker Water, but with all the government agencies and private organizations that the town interacts with on a professional capacity, to make sure the mayor is a good representation of the towns, of the town citizens, and of the town council.
All right, next question. As Parker has one of the highest sales tax rates in the state, do you have plans that may help reduce it? And if not, then why should it remain at this level?
Mrs. Coe, your primary response.
We do have a high tax rate. We are not the highest in the state, but we do have a high tax rate. And we have a high tax rate in Parker because the 3% extra that we pay on everything in Parker is what we use to run the city with. We don't get very much, hardly any, of the property tax. It mostly goes to Douglas County or your metro districts. And I would love for our sales tax to be reduced, but in order to do that, then we have to change property tax and the way the city's funded. Because otherwise, you won't have snowplows, you won't have roads redone, you won't have stoplights go up, you won't have parks and rec and all the things that provides, including police. So the 3% that we pay extra in our sales tax goes to fund everything that the city does. That doesn't mean that we should be spending everything that we have. It means that we should be making sure that we can pay for the debt that we've already incurred. And in the last 4 years, we incurred another $44 million worth of debt, doing the police station and the Pace Center at the same time during the economic recession. So it's really important at this point in time that we're looking at our budgets and making sure that we're not outspending and making sure that we have enough in the future to pay for those debts.
Mr. Wade, your primary response.
Parker's sales tax, total sales tax here in Parker is 8%. Ms. Coe is absolutely right, 3% of what's collected goes to the town of Parker operations. I think it's important for the mayor to represent the citizens to those other taxing agencies that make up the other 5%. Because there are times when those agencies aren't being real efficient and effective with your money. An example that I like to use is just last year with RTD. They collected from the citizens of Parker approximately $6 million, and by their own numbers returned about $600,000 worth of services to us. And this came about because of a threat and issue of them canceling services to Parker. Well, that's just not fair or right. So that's an example of where the mayor's role is to represent the citizens of Parker to those taxing agencies and say, hey guys, this doesn't fly. We enjoy a quality of life here that is primarily funded by that retail sales tax. About 2/3 of the town's operating income comes from that. We've done a very good job of spending that money efficiently, but we need to make sure that we continue to do so. Looking at the other agencies, or the other communities around us, sales tax rates range from approximately 8.5% in South Aurora to the lowest, which is over in Lone Tree, the main part of Lone Tree, which is about a little over 1% lower than ours. But the reality is, in all of those cases, most of the money that's collected from sales tax goes to other governmental agencies. Now, we've been under criticism from time to time of being too sales tax heavy as opposed to property tax. But that's actually a benefit for the citizens of Parker, because when the economy slows down like it did several years ago, if you're primarily funded by property tax and everyone's assessed values goes down by 30%, those agencies like the library, like the water district, like the fire district, have to take a 30% cut. But since the town of Parker is primarily funded through retail sales tax, that gives us the ability to be agile and nimble and put into place tools and programs that will incentivize businesses to move to Parker, businesses to grow in Parker, and people to shop in Parker.
Mrs. Laurent, your primary response.
We are lucky that we do not have the highest tax rate in the state of Colorado. 8%, if you look at Park Meadows, Southlands, they're at 8% as well. So it's considered, it's really not, it's in the median. It's not the highest tax rate in Colorado. It would be nice, again, to have a lower tax rate, but what are we going to lose by cutting that tax rate? Are we going to lose RTD? I mean, we don't get very much from RTD as it is, and we need to. That is one reason why we need to work and get people elected like Gary Lassiter to the RTD board, so that we actually have somebody inside that will look out for Parker's best interest. Same thing with the water and Tracy Hutchinson. We need those people that live in Parker to be part of other organizations outside of that really have an effect on our tax dollars and how they're spending their money, how we're spending our money, or how they're spending our money.
Francisco, your rebuttal.
Unlike Mike Wade, I don't think that sales tax is a benefit to citizens at this point compared to a property tax. A property tax you can take off your federal income tax, and it's a deduction, it's a write-off. It's paid less that way than you would if you would pay sales tax. I do agree that you shop less or you maybe pay less, but there are ways to change that if we wanted to. It does need to go to a vote of the people in order to change anything like that. RTD, we can't cut RTD out. They can cut services to us, but unfortunately when the citizens they voted to be in part of RTD, you have to vote to get out, and it takes state legislature to do that. It's not a local government thing that can get you out anymore. So that's not a way that we can lower our property tax or our sales tax or anything. The water district was part of your property tax. That rate increased this last year.
Mr. Ray, rebuttal.
Excellent. First off, before my rebuttal, I would actually like to commend all of you, because several years ago the citizens of the town of Parker voted a 0.5% allocation of our sales tax to go to recreation. So that's a dedicated piece of the taxes that we all pay through sales tax that goes to things like our field house and Railbender Park and our rec department. That adds to the quality of life of what we have here. The advantage of being sales tax heavy, though, is examples like Costco. A little over 80% of the sales tax revenue that Costco collects is from non-citizens of Parker. So these are people who come in on 470, make their purchases at Costco. The town of Parker, the citizens of Parker, get the benefit of that tax revenue without us having to maintain those people's roads or provide public safety for them. So that's a prime example of why having sales tax be the primary mechanism for our operations allows us to take advantage of those business opportunities.
Mrs. Lauren, can you rebuttal?
We would all like to see the sales tax reduced. Of course we would. But at what cost? We need our police department. We need fire. We need water. Our town the town is not run by anything other than our tax dollars. And we've got a great town. And I wouldn't like to lose any of what we have. Pace Center is an amazing building. Hopefully we can get it going and really bring some entertainment in there and get people to actually go and see that entertainment, and people that are outside of Parker area. Pace Center alone, for every $1 spent at the Pace Center, it brings $5 to $10 into the community. So those are important things, that we really need to focus on.
Okay. Moving on to question number 5. There are a number of traffic flow problems and congestion issues throughout the town, especially at Main Street and sections of Parker Road. What plans do you have to help improve the traffic control system and other such issues? Mr. Wade, you'll have primary response.
Thank you very much. One of the coolest things that I've been able to participate in on town council is we had our public works department come in and give us a study session, all of us council members, a study session on how the traffic lights work. Because that's one of the biggest questions that we get from people is, why do I always seem to hit a red light? And they put together this great simulation where it shows how all the lights in the town of Parker are programmed and how everything runs nice and smoothly. And then they made one little change. They said, let's see if someone comes and hits the button to cross the street, what happens? And when they do that, you see this cascade effect of all the lights turning yellow and red and all the traffic getting built up. So the reality is the problem isn't the traffic lights or the traffic signals, but the problem is access through town. We've worked very closely with the county, and as you guys know, over the last several years, we have 2 new access points to I-25. Making sure that going forward, that the town is planning well for traffic, planning well for growth, and putting roads in appropriate places will help alleviate some of those traffic congestion points and allow not only the people who live in Parker to be able to access their jobs, but more importantly, allow people outside of Parker to come into Parker and visit the Pay Center or eat at a restaurant or make a purchase at one of the local stores. So going forward as mayor, it's going to be very important for me to work with the other agencies like Douglas County and make sure that we've got good plans for our traffic flow and our development going forward.
Mrs. Lawrence, your primary response, please.
I think we should all walk. Or ride your bike.
Or ride your bike.
We've got some great bike trails. Come on. And there's no traffic.
That's true.
And no lights.
That's true. That's true.
You know, I just started taking light rail. And it's like living in Europe. I really like the fact that we have light rail. It would be nice that if RTD would bring us more services out here, and then we could maybe not be driving our cars everywhere, but we got to drive our cars out to light rail. So, you know, I know that the town has worked hard to try and do whatever possible. They've done so many studies on the lights and the traffic, and we keep getting more and more people keep moving to Parker, but that's what we want. So I say ride your bike. Darn it.
Ride your bike.
Ride your bike. Write it down.
Mrs. Coe, your primary response.
Riding a bike is not an option for me. So sorry, that's not going to happen. I will walk places. Traffic and congestion on Main Street in Parker is always going to be an issue until, unfortunately, Parker becomes a flyover like they did down at Arapahoe. And there are plans, if you look at the master plan for roads, there are loops coming on to Parker Road and diverting the traffic from the south over the top of Main Street and all this other things. The reason why traffic is such a problem is because downtown Maine was never planned out ahead of time. They didn't do their advanced planning. It's not on a grid system. There's only one way to get one place from point A to point B, and that's Main Street. Otherwise, there's no other way to get another road to go between Pine and Parker Road. There's not a whole lot we can do at this point. We've worked with traffic engineers, like Mike said. We've seen all the traffic studies. We've I mean, you wouldn't believe all the things that we've done with programming and figuring out what we can do there. But really, if you look at the future, they're looking at our state highway here, Parker Road, having loops just like they do down there at Parker and Arapahoe. And maybe that's the way we alleviate the traffic. I don't want to personally see that in Parker, but that's in the future, I think.
Mr. Wade, your rebuttal.
Absolutely. I like the bike thing. You know, several times in the summer, I've ridden my bike from Stroh Ranch, where I live, to my office in downtown Parker, and it's pretty cool. Even though you still do have to cross the road here and there to at least get to the office. But I think it just boils down to good planning and good relationships with the organizations that outside of the town limits, being representative of the town citizens and the town council, and making sure that those development plans outside our borders are working efficiently to help that traffic flow. Internal to our borders, smart planning, making sure that we have good traffic flow through arterials and good planning is essential.
Mrs. Lauren, your rebuttal.
Well, I know when they originally put Lincoln in, it was supposed to be a 6-lane highway. I really don't want to see Lincoln be a 6-lane highway into Parker. That would alleviate some traffic, but is that really what we want as a community? I kind of doubt it. I say let's go for bikes, Mike. I'll walk with you occasionally.
I'll meet you at Sulphur Gulch and we'll ride on it.
Mrs. Coe, you have a rebuttal?
Again, biking is not my thing.
I'll walk with you.
It's even more than advanced planning. We are only at half build out right now. We have about 45,000 people in Parker, and we're slated to grow up to 90,000. So we're talking advanced planning here. We need people who will look ahead and go, what does our future look like? How are we going to get 90,000 people around Parker? And we need to start doing that now, because if Main Street's a perfect example. If you don't plan ahead, you're going to have a mess. And that's why we have a mess now.
All right. Last planned question. Oil and gas exploration and fracking in particular are primary subject to state law and control. But as this is new to Douglas County and the Parker area, it has become a local concern. What plans do you have to address such concerns?
Mrs. Lauren, you'll have primary response.
Oh, lucky me. I'm riding a bike. I don't even use gas.
Fracking has a whole different definition.
No, there's a lot of areas where in Colorado where you can see the small oil rigs or whatever you call them. And I don't, maybe out east they want to see him. I don't know. I don't want to see him. I'm gonna hand that one off.
Mrs. Coe, your primary response.
As a council, we have already started planning ahead. We're working with all of Douglas County in order to come up with some kind of legislation that can hopefully be passed, so that way we don't have these fracking plants basically in our backyards. They're very loud, they're very noisy, there's a lot of things going on, and it doesn't end. It can also contaminate the groundwater that we do have in this area. I know that they will tell you it has lots of coatings of different materials going down, it will protect, but if you take a look at some research done, that's things that have actually happened in Pennsylvania where all their groundwater was contaminated and they had to bring in water. I really don't think that's the way to go in Parker at this point in time. We have no other external sources of water, and I think that we need to be looking into the future here and planning ahead for this, because we have very limited say as to what cannot happen on town land. The government can come in and say, you can have it anywhere that you have right of way. So we need to work with our governments, our local governments around us, so we can form together and work together to create legislation.
Mr. Wade, your primary response.
Fracking's a new thing. It's scary for a lot of reasons. Unfortunately, the state does not allow us to say no. The state law, you cannot forbid fracking or oil or gas exploration from happening. And that's a pretty scary place to be in, especially with the new horizontal drilling techniques they do, where they can set up shop just outside your borders, drill down, and then drill under. So it is absolutely essential that the mayor work closely with the surrounding municipalities and organizations to find a good way for us all to have a mutual benefit and regulate and limit as much as possible the potential negative exposure of something like fracking or other issues that will come up in the future. Fortunately for us, we have been talking quite a bit with our partners. The representative in Castle Rock has done a fantastic job of taking the bull by the horns and putting together some great information on what fracking is, what fracking isn't, how it affects communities the size of ours, and what are the potential downsides. The reality is they have to drill through the water table to get to the area to start the fracking at, and that is pretty scary that if something happens in between here and there, that can contaminate our water. You want to talk about property values, your property is going to be worth nothing if you don't have water or if the water's soured. So it is essential that we keep those relationships up, work towards a benefit of the citizens of Parker with our surrounding communities, and find some good resolution to this.
Mrs. Laurent, your rebuttal.
Oh, I agree. We definitely need to be building partnerships with communities that have a lot more experience than we do. We were just talking about how our water is so important, and we don't have a lot of it to fill our reservoir. And if this endangers that, then we really need to make sure that those relationships that we build with other organizations are good relationships that are going to better our community.
Because we can't stop it, we need to make sure that at least it's not close to our houses where we live. That's really important. We need to limit where it can go. And because we can't say no. If the government says this is going to happen, at least we can come in and say, well, if you're going to have to do this, we want it here, not in your backyard. The other thing is, right now, no one down here has experience with this. And so all the municipalities right now are really struggling and working together with numerous lawyers from all over the United States, trying to figure out how to make this work the best for Douglas County residents.
Mr. Wade, your rebuttal.
Besides, I have never run into a person that has come up to me that said, boy, I sure hope we can get fracking really quick to this community and let's really make it happen. You know, this is a hot button issue in a lot of ways. Unfortunately, there's a large financial ticket on the back end of this hot button issue. And so that means there's a lot of forces working on both sides of the game. But as a representative of the citizens of Parker, the mayor's job is to make sure that everything is operating in a safe, efficient manner. Town council's job, they can't deny it, but they can regulate it. And so making sure that for the benefit and the safety of our community, that they're doing a good job of putting in place good regulations with our partners and our surrounding communities to keep, you know, our valuable resources safe.
So at this time, we have finished with the selected questions from the community.
Okay, let's give them a round of applause. And this becomes the tough time. We are actually opening this up to questions from the audience. We are going to follow the same format. Each person gets 2 minutes to answer and 1 minute for rebuttal. So as soon as our moderators are ready, we will open that up. Okay, so be thinking about your question.
Could we get some applause for our moderators, though?
Yes. Okay. Does anybody have a first question? Yes, please.
I want to ask you about your view on Amendment 64. And are you for or against it? And if unfortunately it passed, how can you make sure that the city of Parker will not become the hubs of marijuana?
You have a lot to say on this one. Would you like to take this one first?
Sure, I'm against Amendment 64. I really don't think that our young people need any more encouragement to do drugs or smoke marijuana or use marijuana in any way. If it passes, which I sincerely hope it does not, the town has done a very good job in the last 4 years of restricting where these shops could open if they were to open, which right now we don't have any in the town of Parker, which is fantastic. And I think that that's something that the council will have to make sure that they do again, is make sure that they have regulations put in place, and they can do that. Because, for example, if it passed, then the town could say, okay, if you're going to have a shop, it has to be in this location, and we're going to give you a sales tax of 100%. I mean, something ridiculous to where they wouldn't want to come to Parker. So there are things that the town council can do.
Mrs. Warren, we're going to have you answer second.
Amendment 64, I am for and against it, because their people are going to find marijuana wherever they're going to. If they have to leave Parker, they'll leave Parker and they'll pay taxes somewhere else. It's a good source of revenue. Kids that are going to smoke marijuana are going to find it somewhere else, whether it's legal or illegal. So it's like alcohol. It's no different. Might as well tax it and be able to make some money off of it. I know it's not a popular answer, but it's my story and I'm sticking to it.
Mr. Wade, your primary response?
I'm in absolute opposition of 64. when the town council was presented with the medical marijuana dispensary debate, I was absolutely opposed to a lot of the arguments that were presented in support of it. I'm very happy that the town of Parker was one of the first to not allow medical marijuana dispensaries to open. This is an example of bad legislation, and it's scary to think this could be a constitutional amendment to the Colorado Constitution. So personally, I am absolutely against Amendment 64.
Mrs. Koya-Rebel.
Again, I'm against it. I think I think that it just encourages more of the drug cartels from Mexico to come across our borders and to create more drug wars in the United States, and we don't need that.
Mrs. Lauren, rebuttal.
I actually disagree as far as the bringing the drug cartels over. We've got them here anyway.
Yeah, but it could be worse.
If you legalized it, it probably
could be
wouldn't.
Worse.
We probably wouldn't have them. We'd be making the money here instead of just all of them making the money down there. So, yeah, that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Mr. Wade, do you have any final comments?
And where I wouldn't mind biking with Adele, I would disagree with her on this. There's just certain things that you have to make a judgment for the citizens of your town, and taxing it or not, I don't think it's an option, because this is just a bad idea to have legalization of marijuana. This is just one of those items that shouldn't be allowed. It is against the law federally. That is enough said to it there. I don't think that this is a good legislation, and we should not pass it.
Okay. Next question. Right in the back.
I have a question on how you will handle becoming a non-voting member from being a voting member, and truly who will you be answering to? The staff, the town council, the citizens? How are you going to do that?
Mr. Wade, your primary response.
Thank you very much. That's actually a question that I've run through in my head many, many times. What's going to happen in a few weeks when I am no longer able to cast a vote as a council member and my job as mayor does not include voting? The role of mayor is to really represent the decisions of town council and represent the citizens of Parker. Will it be a challenge? Absolutely. But your role as mayor is to help guide the council into making decisions that are to the benefit of the citizens of Parker. And then once the decision's made, being accountable for that. You're part of a team, you take up their decision and you follow it through for the benefit of the citizens. At the end of the day, that's who we work for. We don't work for each other, we don't work for big government, we work for the citizens of Parker. So making sure that that you're leading council and representing them to the other agencies and to the citizens is important, and it'll be a challenge, but I think I'll be able to handle it.
Mrs. Coe, your primary response.
Mike, I thought you worked for big government, $50 million corporation, running it just like that. I really think that the mayor is supposed to bring council together, is supposed to represent all the citizens, and then once the council has made a decision, the mayor has two choices. The mayor says great and passes it, or the mayor can veto it and say maybe we should think about this again a little bit more and let citizens weigh in as well. And then at that point, if council still says that's the way it is, and that's what the mayor's job is to do, is to make sure that the mayor explains why council has made this decision, and it's to really bring people together.
Mrs. Warren, your primary response.
At our last forum, I wanted to make it really understood that I truly believe that the mayor is there to bring unity to council, to be a mentor by example, to really bring the citizens and educate the citizens on, especially our children, on what it means to be in government and how important it is to take that step and get involved in your government. Mayor, once a decision has been made by council, I think it's the mayor's position, whether you are for it or against it, but you are there to support the town council and support whatever the decision is that they've made. The mayor has no power. Yes, you can veto. And at that point, that's when you bring in your experts, maybe try and educate them a little more on a different point of view or other points of view from the citizens. But 100% the mayor is there as a mentor to the community, as a mentor to town council, and you have to be a mentor by example and be a positive influence on the community and town council.
Mr. Wade, your final comments.
Absolutely, and representing the town council is essential in this capacity. Having experience to be able to share with council and help them make smart decisions, once those decisions are made, representing those decisions to the citizens and to other government agencies as one unified voice, that's the role of mayor. So giving up that vote, you gain so much more by being a mentor and helping the council make those decisions to the betterment of Parker.
Mrs. Coe, your final comments.
Giving up that vote is difficult. However, I think it's important that we have someone who can guide council, who can bring council together to make the decisions that are best for our community. I think that as a major corporation, a president doesn't think about anyone else but his bottom line. I think about all the citizens of Parker, and you're the ones who elect us. So I think it's important that we see what it is that you want us to do in your community, because it's really all of our community, not just councils.
Mrs. Lauren, your final comments.
To me, as mayor, being a mentor, as I said earlier, to town council and to the community and to our youth, and educating the importance of stepping up, getting involved. If you don't like what you see, then vote. If you're not going to vote, don't complain. If you're not willing to step out there and make a difference, then at least please vote. That's one of the most important things we can do. That's one of the most important things we need to show our children, that at least is a way that they can make a change.
Question. Next question. You know, I'm a member of your fan club, Stephen, but I'm going on this side first. Yes, please.
Considering the financial benefits of roundabouts, do you have any clue on what you're going to be doing with them, putting them in or removing any of them?
Mrs. Lauren, I'll let you have first response on this one.
They're great on bikes.
Unless there's a car in there with you.
It'd definitely slow down traffic, wouldn't it? You know, if we're going to put a roundabout in, I think we should keep it in. I don't think we should take it out and put it back in and then maybe take it out and put it back in again. They're attractive. They'll definitely slow down traffic. I'd much rather go around about on a bike.
Roller skates.
Roller skates. Behind a car. No, just kidding.
Mr. Wade, your primary comments.
Sure. Roundabouts are a new sensation for me when we moved to Parker. I'd really never seen them before until we moved here. We have several in Parker. We had one that was put in, revised, taken out. I had a comment made to me one time regarding roundabouts, and that was, well, they work so well in Europe. The people in Europe know how to use them. The people out here don't know how to use them. Whether that's true or not, the fact is people out here don't know how to use them, so I don't think it's a good idea for us to plan for roundabouts to be part of our road structure. I think when we're doing smart planning on roads and growth, you don't have to run into the situation where you put one in because it might be aesthetic or it might have a function at a certain level, but then when development around it changes, that you have to then pull it out and put in a traffic signal or vice versa. So personally, I'm not a fan of roundabouts because I can't figure them out, so it's a good thing I don't live in Europe. But I think that as long as we continue with smart planning, we won't have the need to put them in and rip them out.
I personally am a fan of roundabouts because I did live in Europe and I know how to use them. And I think I was the person that said that people here just don't know how to use them. If you look at our traffic reports, most of our accidents, or a huge majority of them, are in roundabouts. So they don't work very well in Parker. We have a couple that work really well, and that would be the one over near the police station. Maybe because people actually read the signs because they're afraid, I don't know. The one by the hospital, there's accidents there all the time. And the one at Main Street was just too narrow. If you're going to make a roundabout, it needs to be the right size so that way vehicles can actually get through it, especially in snow and ice, without curbs that are this high. Unless you like the axle of your car broken. So, you know, I'd like to see roundabouts, but it just doesn't work in Parker.
Ms. Lauren,
I think maybe we could have a roundabout education class.
How to drive the roundabout.
You know, Lowry has several roundabouts, and I've been out there a lot, and I guess everybody in Lowry knows how to drive roundabouts. Maybe they have, mostly. Maybe like they had a roundabout education class. I don't know. Yeah, I like the roundabouts that we have. Whether we need more, I don't think it'd be a wise decision for our traffic.
Mr. Wade, your second comments.
Not only am I not a fan of roundabouts, but my wife isn't a fan of roundabouts. And it's primarily because every time we come up to one, I think of the European Vacation movie, and I go, "Oh, look, Parliament, that's where the Queen lives," or whatever he says in the movie. No, again, I think it's one of the situations that they, for whatever reason, good or bad, they don't function in the town of Parker, and so we don't really have a need to put them in.
Mrs. Coe, final comments.
I still like roundabouts, just not here.
Next question.
Mr. Strain?
Are developers evil for the town of Parker, or can they be productive for the town of Parker and now?
Mr. Wade, you can have primary comments.
Absolutely. Developers are an important part of the growth of Parker. There's two sides to the game in this, and that is the businesses in Parker collect the sales tax, but the rooftops are the ones who pay the sales tax. So we have to be cognizant of responsible growth in both capacities. Encouraging development to happen is important to the future success of Parker. We've demonstrated that you can grow the community and still maintain the hometown feel. So working closely with the development community to make sure that we have good projects coming into town, good businesses, good developments that accentuate the positive aspects of Parker is crucial to make sure that going forward the financial stability of Parker stays there and that we all still enjoy the great hometown that we have now.
Mrs. Coe.
I agree completely with Mike Wade, so I'll just say ditto. Plus, in addition to, I think that we need to encourage development, especially in certain areas. For example, in Cottonwood. If we had more rooftops in that area would be easier to redevelop. Businesses would come into that area to redevelop it if there were houses there, if there were rooftops, if there are apartment buildings or condos or anything that's going to generate the population to shop in those places. It makes it easier to sell a place in order to bring those businesses in. Developers are not evil.
Mrs. Lauren.
Oh, ditto, ditto. No, I totally agree that developers are essential to building a community, building a town, especially a town that we all care and love. They just need to be guided. We just can't let them run rampant in the town. And that's exactly why we have a strong town council, is to give them the guidance that they need. Yes, in Cottonwood, we definitely could use a developer to do something down there. But there are we do have a lot of rooftops down there, and we would all love to shop at that old King Soopers if it was still there, and a lot of people did, but King Soopers didn't want to be there, so that's unfortunate. Hopefully we can bring somebody else in there. But again, developers are not evil, so my best friends are developers.
Mr. Wade, final comments.
Yeah, as the mayor, working with not only the development community but also with the other government organizations that might inhibit or limit the ability for developers to be successful in the town of Parker is important. So I look at all opportunities for both business and residential development to be a beneficial component to the town of Parker, and then working with them as partners to plan and make sure that we have development in the right areas, in the right capacity, again, to make sure that our hometown feel is kept intact.
One of the things that Mike touched on was planning with those developers, and that's why we have a fantastic town staff who will work with developers to get plans done. We have new software systems to expedite those plans, because that is one of the largest complaints. We filed that and it took 6 months. Turnaround time should be 2 to 3 months. It shouldn't be 6 to 9 months to go through a plan. And then in addition to that, we have a fantastic planning commission, and they go through and make sure everything meets town codes and make sure that it's pleasing aesthetically to the citizens, because we want to make sure that we have the right developments here in Parker.
Mrs. Lawrence, your final comments.
Like I said, some of my best friends are developers. And it's important that we, as a town, work with all the developers and planning to make sure that they're bringing exactly what we need and not just what they want to bring. We could use more rooftops, multifamily homes in Cottonwood, and that would bring, hopefully, more families in. And hopefully would bring more developers into that area, which is exactly what we need. So some of my best friends are developers.
I'm going to take one over here. I'm sorry, the gentleman had his up first. I would like to offer an option on this, in the sense that how would people feel if we only had the 2-minute answer and no rebuttals?
Yes.
Is everybody acceptable to that?
Yes.
Moderators?
Sounds reasonable to us.
Thank you. Sure. Thank you for waiting.
Yeah, so I've been a resident of Parker for just about 5 years, and I heard a topic come up about North Pine Drive and Main Street. There's an open area there, right across from the main building there. You know what I'm talking about?
Pine Curve.
It's called Pine Curve property.
Right, so it came out that the council was considering making that a retail area, and I'm really concerned about that because there's a lot of schools and residential over there, and we have great retail here, so my position is I do not want to see a bunch of big box stores in that corner. What's your position on that? Talking about development.
Mrs. Coe, would you like to provide a response?
Sure. We've worked for the last 4 years actually on that property. The town owns that property. It's a very difficult and expensive property to develop because of all the land all the dirt that would have to be moved in order to put any kind of retail there. When council bought that land before we were elected, the plan was for the cultural center and the police station to go on that land with a library. And obviously plans changed. It made more sense to put the police station where it is because of accessibility. Council decided to put Pace Center on Main Street to drive more people to Main Street. And so now we have this piece of land. What do we do with it? That's a difficult decision. Council has put into the master plan that is going to be the eastern gateway to Main Street. So it is planned to be commercial. What goes there is dependent on the council that sits at the time that a developer comes in. Council worked with a lot of the landowners back there for 3 years almost to create a plan that everyone could live with, and that was to maintain those view corridors, noise buffers, extra large buffers between the houses and the commercial, making it a walking area, maybe being an area where the farmers market could be there instead of closing Main Street, which is that main access road. So I think if at any point something was done, it needs to be done right, so that way it's not interrupting with those houses or the schools and things like that. There's a way to do it. There really is. If it has to be done, there is a way to do it. I don't know what else we could put there, to be honest. No one else wants it. And the town's sitting with, the town should not be a landowner.
Mrs. Lauren, your comments?
Maybe the town should be a business now. Actually, I when I lived up in Canterbury, I was thinking, oh, that'd be great. I don't have to cross over Parker Road to go to the grocery store. But after talking to a lot of the community, that would be such a great place for a park. I don't see why. I mean, why would you want to put a retail spot back there in the corner? It's close to. There's a lot of space right in there where they could still do, in front of Pace Center, still do a lot of retail, and I know that was in the plan. There's a lot of existing commercials areas that still need to be filled. I know it's supposedly only 9%, but it's an ugly 9%. So I think we need to focus on those type of things, getting those areas fixed, redeveloping Cottonwood, the Parker corridor. Those are areas that we need to focus on. It would be great to see a park in there, even if it's just in an interim, instead of a storage facility for, stuff. Which kind of makes it ugly, but that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Mr. Wade.
Well, I ride my bike across. No, just no. The Pine Curve property was something that was purchased by a town council previous to when I served, and I'm a firm believer that the town should never get into the real estate business. If we have a project to build, then buy the land, build the project. I'm not for buying land for speculative purposes or potential future development. So this piece of land has turned into quite an issue in terms of the residents, both for and against development on it, because we've heard both sides of that story, but also from the development community. It will develop at some point. The town is the property owner of it, so we do have the ability to be a little more selective on who we sell it to, but it will be developed at some point in the near future. So I encourage all the citizens who have input, both positive and negative, to get involved with that. I sat on a few of the town hall meetings that looked at the development of that piece of land. Personally, living down in Stroh Ranch, where we have a grocery store and we have commercial and we've got a Carl's Jr. and a gas station, I absolutely love it. I love being able to go over and fill up with gas and get my groceries and not have to drive across town. That piece of land will be dictated by what the development community will want to put on it. The town of Parker is entertaining offers as we speak if someone wanted to come in and make a purchase of it. But the reality is, if the development community doesn't feel that they can be successful in their investment, they're not going to come ask to develop on it. But at some point it will develop, and I think as long as the town council and the mayor at the time when this does happen work closely with them to make sure the interests of the citizens are at hand, everything will be okay.
He's a council member. Do somebody else.
He tends to whine.
He's a council member. Do someone else.
I have my own challenges. My question is, obviously being the mayor, there's a significant demand on your time all throughout the day, all throughout the week. How do your professional lives impact your ability to serve?
Mr. Reed.
It's a great question. The role of mayor requires that the duties of serving the citizens happen at a lot of various times, whether it's committees, whether it's groups, whether it's representing the town to a Boy Scout Court of Honor. Fortunately for me, I have a business that allows me to be very flexible. I have a very understanding wife who's also my business partner that allows me to be very flexible in my schedule. It's an important part because you want to be accessible to the citizens of Parker and you want to be able to serve in a right capacity for them. So having the flexibility to attend weekend meetings or nighttime conferences or noontime lunches or committee meetings in the morning or whatever in between is important to this role.
Mrs. Coe.
I'm truly blessed because I'm out of school. I'm a school teacher. I work 7 to 3. And I am out of school at 3 o'clock every day. So I can be at town hall or meetings anytime. I also have all summer off and vacations, which many people don't have off. Our former mayor originally, or our mayor, current mayor, who's going to be our former mayor, originally was a school teacher and now works full-time and has no problem attending meetings. I don't see a conflict or a problem being able to attend or serve.
Mrs. Lauren.
I'm currently a staff accountant downtown, and luckily I work for a company that's extremely flexible. I'm a contractor, so I'm completely blessed on the fact that they pretty much let me come and go as I please, and chances, if the job ends, gives me more time, which is fine with me. It's easy as an accountant to find a part-time position helping people with their books. Anybody need any help? No, just kidding.
I'm going to take 3 more questions. I think I have some people who have already raised their hands. You are next, ma'am.
What is your vision for Parker in the next 10 years? And if elected, what will you do in the next 4 years toward that goal? So basically, please be precise and just give bullet points.
Mrs. Lauren.
Well, we have a nice event center now. We can get it full. We do need a library. We really do need a library. It would be fabulous if we were able to bring that to fruition. I know that it was definitely one of the questions that was asked on our fabulous board that was created by those great young minds. I would be 100% for building a library, but last vote, it didn't get voted in. So, and that was all of you that were voting. So, if you want to see a new Parker build a new library, you've got to get out and vote. You've got to have your friends vote, because unfortunately we can't do it without your vote. So, again, building a library, parks and recs. I mean, we can't have enough parks and recs for our community. We have so many young people. We built that great skate park that is. I mean, I drive by there every day, and I'm amazed at how many kids are out there. We definitely need to start more programs for youth that entertain their time, where they can go and they can learn different skills, even if just for the future, or just a craft to keep them busy and off of the streets. The fact that we have so many teens that are committing suicide, it just baffles my mind that in an amazing little community like Parker, we have young people that have so little hope that they feel that the only thing they can do is kill themselves. And it breaks my heart, and we have to give them something that they can live for. Timing is everything.
That's perfect.
Mr. Wade.
My anecdote earlier about when I moved to Parker and thought that Parker was had a great hometown feel and was a cool place, and how someone recently said the same thing to me. My vision for Parker is that 4 years from now, when Parker is 10, 15, 20% larger than it is now, and a new citizen moves to Parker, that they have that same experience. So my vision for Parker is to make sure that we continue with offering world-class recreation programs to our youth, to our citizens, to our seniors, making sure that we have cultural opportunities available, making sure that we have the finest police force around, so that in 4 years those people look back and go, gosh, this is a really cool place, and I'm really glad we moved to Parker. So to make that happen, working with staff, working with the citizens, working with the other government agencies that we interact with, to make sure that we're having opportunities taken advantage of, and that we're providing those quality of life services.
Quality of life services are wonderful, and those are things that we need to do, but the first thing we need to do is we need to get our fiscal budget in order. We need to make sure that we can pay our existing debt before we take on anything else. We need to be financially conservative and build our reserve fund balance back up so we can pay for the debt that we have incurred in the last 4 years. The next thing that I'd like to see in Parker is a large aquatic center. We need aquatics in Parker. And if we had a large aquatic center, we would bring many people from around the state. We could bring them into Parker. They would shop, they would eat, and then they'd go home. and they would bring us sales tax revenue, so that way we would have that to help our town. We need to look at our aging infrastructure. We need to look at all of our roads. Our roads were all built about the same time. We need to look at the replacement of those roads. We have aging snow equipment. I rode in some of it last winter. Truly, I mean, falling apart, aging. We need to start looking at replacing some of those things. So we need to get our fiscal budget house in order first. And then we need to start looking at all the other things that make Parker wonderful to maintain Parker.
Thank you. I had a question. Gentleman in back.
If elected mayor, what would be your solution to improving the daytime economy? I mean, that's what we've been talking about, and I've not heard any precise or concise answers to that.
Mr. Wood.
Daytime economy is just as essential to the town of Parker as other areas for multiple reasons. One, obviously having strong businesses here in Parker and attracting strong businesses to offer employment helps us increase our tax base by having those people go out to lunch, having those people fill up with gas. But more importantly, it exposes them to this cool place we call home. It exposes them to town of Parker. So hopefully they'll decide to purchase a home here, and the employees will move here and live here and work here and play here, live their lives here. So what we can do as a town council, and what I will do as a mayor, is help to make sure that we have an economic environment in Parker that is absolutely conducive to success for not only retail, small, medium, and large, but also those daytime jobs. A good example of that is recently we have through one of our one of the buildings in Parker that had come under disarray, happened to be a building that I used to have my office in, but I promise I wasn't the one who put it into disarray. It was just purchased by a medical manufacturing company who's moving into Parker. What was the tipping point for them is the town of Parker has some incentive programs to help encourage businesses to move into Parker, which they're taking advantage of. This specific building has significant structural problems to it, and with the assistance that the town provide, they're able to move here with their 20 employees, and they're looking at bringing 5 more employees. So there's an example of a medium-sized business that's moving into Parker, but then also looking with opportunities for ancillary services. Medtronics and Oral Labs, who are located in downtown off of Dransfeld in Parker, one of their major suppliers is looking at moving to Parker because the president of Oral Labs has been so outspoken about how great a community this is for him and his employees. So those are opportunities that the mayor and the town council need to be acutely aware of, and by creating that positive economic environment, businesses will move here.
Mrs. Coe.
I'm not going to repeat what he said, but I'm going to add on to it. I think it's really important for the mayor and the town council to work with surrounding entities as well. Douglas County has just pulled in several large manufacturing companies, and I think we need to partner with them to bring more of those kinds of businesses into Parker, into our manufacturing area. We have space for them. We just need to know that they need to know that Parker is a good place for them to do business. Now that we have major connections to I-25, companies will be more they're going to come here more, it's more accessible, so they'll want to come here rather than when we just had E470. Most businesses will not come to Parker especially for manufacturing, if they have to pay for a toll road every time that they have to bring a truck in and leave. So now that we have 2 major accesses off of I-25, it'll be easier to help pull those businesses into Parker.
Mrs. Lauren.
The daytime economy is such a huge issue for all of our retail areas, whether it's restaurants or smaller businesses. We have got to work towards encouraging large manufacturers to come into Parker and either, unfortunately, build a facility or use what we have. It'd be great to have a large office building where people could actually go out and go shopping, go eat. We have a great community. It'd be great to see those type of organizations come in where they can, not only can they employ people, but they can bring other employees in from outside of Parker and bring them in to spend their money and give us their taxes.
We are at our last question, and this side does get it. Mr. Bob, we had somebody before you, right behind you, ma'am.
Great. You just had mentioned something about the town budget being in trouble, and I guess I wasn't aware that that we were in financial trouble.
Well, we spent, do I get to go first? I'm sorry. I'm just going to assume. I'm sorry. Actually, we just spent $44 million of money that we don't have. It's projected income, sales tax income, over the next 20 years to use to pay for those two facilities. So right now, we don't have that money. We really saved money and built up our fund balance, our reserve balance, in order to pay for those bills. And thankfully, our sales tax revenue has increased this year. So hopefully, if we don't hit another recession, we should be okay. But who knows the future? So I think that we need to make sure that we can cover that debt or pay that debt down earlier, so that way we have to pay less.
Mrs. Lauren?
You know, the two facilities that we built, they were costly. We built them at a time when everything was a lot less expensive. If we had waited just for the PACE Center, it would have cost us at least an additional $1 million. There are bonds that we use to build the PACE Center. They might not have been there if we'd waited a few years. I believe these facilities, well, we couldn't live without that police station. We desperately needed a police station. So the fact that we're working in conjunction with other towns and other county, what am I trying to say?
Municipalities.
There you go, municipalities. Thank you very much. To utilize more of the police station to help them out. We're working hand in hand. We need to do that with a lot of other organizations, and then we can afford to have these kind of facilities. I love PACE Center. I think I'm a big supporter of PACE Center. I always have been. Really happy to have it here. I've gone up to the Lone Tree Event Center, and PACE Center rocks. PACE Center truly rocks. So I know that the town council made concessions, or not concessions, but they did prepare for for having that debt, but they saved so much money that it wouldn't have been impossible to get what we have. And they created jobs in a time when we needed them. So it'll work out. It all comes out in a wash, hopefully.
Final comments.
Great. The financial situation of the town of Parker is very good. We're fortunate because of the fact that we're sales tax heavy, and have been spending your money conservatively and budgeting conservatively over the last 4 years, that we're in a position that when we decided to move forward with issuing the debt for the police station and the PACE Center, that we would be able to cover that debt through existing revenue streams. The state requires municipalities to keep a reserve fund, to keep kind of some rainy day money aside in case things get tough. I believe that amounts to 3.9%, something along those lines.
16.9.
The town of Parker's policy is 16%. And so we're currently sitting at reserves close to 60%. The reason those reserve balances are so high is because over the last 6 years, even during a really bad economic downturn, we've had budget surpluses of over $1 million every year. So that money is being set aside to help for those expensive costs that are coming forward, like replacing the roads and fixing the roads and replacing capital that needs to be done, the buildings that need to be maintained, and so on. We are looking at opportunities to realize a cost savings to the citizens by paying off debt early. In fact, this last year, we paid off the bond debt on the new town hall a year early, which saved the taxpayers money and interest payments. So as we move forward, having smart financial planning will continue to allow us to be in the good financial position that we're in right now.
Okay, that is the end of the questions. Feel free to ask me some questions. We will be pulling up chairs, but we're actually open until 9.
So
most of
check
the
out a
council
book.
People, council candidates seem to be still here. Please ask them questions. Please ask the mayoral candidates, whatever you'd like to do.
If you could all give the library a round of applause for allowing us to have this.
And our moderators. hometownnews.tv. Please feel free to hit the Contact Us button and let us know any kind of programming you'd like to see. And let us know what your hometown news will be. Thank you.